What are some of? They don't have any audio. No sound. No sound. No sound. We fixed it. No audio. They're yelling. I like how they're yelling. No audio.
Yeah.
No audio. All right. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Okay, we've got it.
Woo!
You guys can start now.
And go.
Go.
We'll start over. All right. So we have a guest with us today, Justin Baldini from Colt.
What's going on, guys?
Colt's in town visiting Gun Talk. Talking, went out to the range this morning.
We did.
Shot some new stuff that we're kind of getting ready to. All the new stuff is going to be launching a little bit
It's
later.
that time of year, yeah. So like everybody kind of builds this stuff up, and then I think most of the public right around SHOT Show period sees all this new stuff that the gun manufacturers bring out. But we like to get out there and talk to some people kind of beforehand, and we're lucky enough to get out to Louisiana here so we could see Ryan and Tom.
Just come down for the food, really.
And to get po' boys.
Yeah, that's really. It's like, when we're in Louisiana and we ask people to come down, it's kind of like hunting over bait.
It's true.
I mean, it's not that hard to get people to fly into New Orleans.
Yeah. And it was like, on Veterans Day, do you want to go to the range and shoot a bunch of guns? Yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes to that.
And thanks for the reminder on that. Happy Vets Day.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody, all the veterans out there. So, Colt, this year has been a good year for you guys.
It has.
We were shooting with you guys throughout the year with Mark Rettel, pro shooter for Colt. Let's talk about some of the guns that have been popular for you guys this year.
Well, I started out the year actually at SHOT Show with KJ doing an interview on the King Cobra. It was a huge release for us this year, and it was very successful. We brought out at SHOT Show 2019 the 3-inch version of the King Cobra, which I'll call sort of the standard package. It was a double single action version with a 3-inch barrel, and we sold an absolute ton of them. It was very successful. Our second entry into the double action revolver market, or re-entry.
Sure, you've been doing it for a while, but for people who maybe if they're just a polymer handgun geek, what do they need to know about the Cobra line of revolvers?
They're awesome.
They are awesome.
If what makes revolvers kind of neat. Especially for new shooters, I think it's one of those areas where we kind of do a disservice sometimes with new shooters, showing them, even something like a 1911 is really easy to shoot once you kind of know your way around it, and you kind of can get some reps in. But if you're somebody who's really not going to put in that time to learn a 1911 and learn how to handle it, then a revolver is a great option. And especially the Cobra, it's a 38 special. We launched it in 2017. 38 special. In a stainless steel frame, it just shoots like a dream. It's just a nice little revolver, and we've sold an absolute ton of those, too.
The thing for me is the difference between any revolver and a good revolver, well, there are maybe a few things, but the trigger. It all comes down to trigger with a revolver. You guys have done that, and you've kind of updated it from what the old revolvers were for you guys.
So if you looked at like those old Colt like detective specials and DS2s and Magnum carries, it's all those sort of D-frame size revolvers that Colt used to make. We really wanted to kind of take that as a starting point and then move up and beyond it and really get something that was right for today's shooter. They're really nice trigger. They're actually a much better trigger than all of those guns.
Yeah, they're really great.
But Colt's kind of had a history of good triggers and good double action revolvers. So we knew that there was a heritage there that we had to kind of surpass.
Yeah. And I think for me, what's fun about shooting revolvers, we get to shoot all kinds of different guns. And revolvers are always such a pleasure because they're just very versatile to me. A 357 revolver, you can shoot it with 38 specials, you can shoot wad cutters, you can shoot jacked up 357s and hunt deer.
There's just something about a revolver. And it's interesting. Tom, we were talking earlier with Tom, and Tom kind of mentioned a couple things about revolvers and sort of that connection with it. And I think about it like driving a stick. It's like it's sort of it's like the old school sort of thing. And like, yes, there's modern transmissions, and yes, there's paddle shifts and all sorts of things that are technically better. But like, there's something about getting into a 67 Camaro and doing a big burnout with a 4-speed.
It's like I bought a Jeep Wrangler, an old school Jeep Wrangler a few years back, stick shift, and it's just like you feel the road. It's just you're doing your thing. A revolver, you're making the gun run.
Yeah.
You know,
And
you're
you
making
watch
everything
it happen,
happen.
and you see it happen, and you watch it happen, and it clicks, and it does,
Yeah.
you know, all those little special things. Versus, you know, this sort of black box, and there's a trigger, and you don't see anything that
It's-
happens, and
It's
eventually
magic,
there's a
right?
bang. Yeah.
Hey, Craig Webb says King Cobra is neat and all, but my favorite Colt is still a Python and Delta Elite 10mm.
People love the
They
Colt
do,
Pythons, the old Colt Pythons. I've got an old Colt Python that I love,
Yeah.
and the Delta Elite 10mm. I
Yeah.
mean, you guys have to hear that at every NRA show.
We do. The Delta, especially. You know, we brought back the Delta. I think it was. Geez, I'm gonna mess this up, but it was probably somewhere around like 2011, 2012. We started making the Delta again. We had stopped, and then we kind of brought it back, and we actually just did a facelift on it in 2017. We
Okay.
kind of brought it up to sort of the package that sort of the competition pistol comes with. So sort of the wide angled serrations,
Right.
you know, gave it Novak cut sights, gave it an upswept beaver tail grip safety. Prior to that, the Delta, when we brought it back, was sort of the old, I'll call it like the old sort of 1991 styling,
Just
which
bringing
was
back that same gun.
yeah, which was like the not upswept beaver tail. It was like the old school rat tail, I call it.
Rat
grip
tail. It's not a
safety.
beaver tail. It's a rat
Yeah.
tail.
And you know, it had like kind of like A1 style military sights. So we kind of just did a facelift on that. The new versions of it are pretty cool.
And the 10mm, it's like the 10mm is just got the last couple of years has been the hot girl at the party.
There's
for some
been a
reason.
little
People
bit
are
of
just loving it.
resurgence, yeah, and you know, and I think we were just talking earlier about some of the bear issues that we've got, and you know, that's a gun that kind of comes to mind if you live in kind of black bear country or something like that, and you want to carry an auto. It's actually a pretty good option.
All right, so that's a good point.
Yeah.
So 10mm,
Mm-hmm.
and then we were talking about the Python, which Python was always a 357,
Mhm.
right? Which one? For if you had to choose between those two,
Yeah,
for bear,
Yeah,
let's go with bear.
I mean,
10mm, 357.
The
Ballistics are
357
pretty-
I think edges it out in speed, but
Yeah.
but I think the reality is you're kind of picking the package you want it to be in. You're not
What,
really.
what do you? Yeah, what do you like a revolver? Or do
Yeah,
you like a
yeah,
semi-auto
yeah,
better?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But as far as ballistically, who cares?
It's pretty close to Mike and
Yeah.
Ike, yeah.
and loaded up with some hard cast,
Oh yeah,
you're good to go.
that's legit. Yeah.
Shooting 10mm hard cast with Mike McNett double tap.
Oh yeah.
I think we shot through 10 or 11 gallon water jugs. I mean, how it was like
yeah. If people don't.
7 feet of water.
If people don't know kind of where double tap sort of cut their teeth, it was in that 10mm. They were doing a lot of specialized ammunition for guys like Razor Dobbs, guys who were actually going out there
Mhm.
and shooting big game with 10mm. So Mike has spent a lot of time developing 10mm loads. They
Yep.
really are an expert in that area, and then they expanded that into other areas, and then later on actually started doing Colt competition ammo with us.
Right.
Kind of long after they had sort of become experts in that 10mm field.
Another gun for you guys this year has been the Colt Combat Elite. Am I saying that right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Colt Combat Elite. And you kind of have a series of flavors and sizes there.
Yeah. So we sort of were looking at our line, and we realized, like, you know, there wasn't just a nice how can I kind of put that something that's not a competition pistol. So like the Colt
Mhm.
competition pistol, Colt Gold Cup, those are really kind of competition focused pistols.
Right.
Something that was really appropriate for carry, but that was maybe a little bit you know, had some custom features.
Nice
to it. And that's
carry.
what we wanted. Yeah, like a nice carry, something a little bit nicer. And so that's what we did. It was the first time we've really taken this concept of, you know, there should be a government model, commander model, a defender model that sort of all share the same suit and tie, let's say. And we did it pretty well. Those guns have been selling very well.
I was going to ask.
It's a great value.
Have you had anybody say, I want to get a couple different sizes? Have you heard
Well,
from that?
I mean, we think that's kind of happening. You
Yeah.
know, especially somebody who's going to get like a 5-inch gun to go out there and shoot maybe some classes or like IDPA or something like that, and then maybe he wants to carry a defender in that same package. So, you know, the checkering obviously is the big one on that, and then night sights, and then you know, we kind of did this cool two-tone finish. If you know anything about the
they're
earlier Combat Elites, they were a two-tone, like I think it was blued frame, stainless slide. I always screw this up. It might be the reverse of that, but we kind of did it. We kind of did sided version of it. So the rounds are all black,
Yes.
and then the sides are all stainless. We kind of flat belted after we coated?
So 9mm 1911s,
Yeah.
45 1911s.
Yo, yeah.
You know, people love shooting 1911s
Mm.
because they shoot so well. Then you put it in a 9.
Yeah.
Talk about that for a minute.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah. I mean, I'm a convert for sure. I shot 45 1911s for years as I kind of got more comfortable with 1911s, and then when you start putting 9mm in like a 40, like some of those rail gun, like the combat
like a
unit rail
big
gun,
metal gun.
yeah,
It doesn't move.
yeah, it's like a 43-ounce gun with like a magwell and check ring, and then you put 10 rounds of 9mm into it, and then you like sort of if you're me, you cheat even more. You put a flashlight on it, and you
Right.
shoot 147 grain bullet. Like you just every advantage you can sort of get.
You're
And,
trying to make it into a 22.
yeah,
at that point.
it's ridiculous. It's but in all seriousness, if you're somebody who's gone out and shooting classes and you're going out and shooting sort of high volumes, you know, it's pretty tough to beat the 9mm. It's like
Yeah.
you know, if you're shooting 400 rounds in a day or something like that, there's a pretty significant financial savings to be had by shooting 9mm versus shooting 45.
Well, you think about it. Some of these folks with like the polymer guns, they're trying to make the guns heavier
Yeah.
because they're such a pleasure to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what you discover when you shoot a 1911 and 9.
Yeah, they're just they're nice to shoot. So if you know, if you have the chance and you haven't kind of picked up on the 1911 9mm game yet, you should try one out. If you can find a range near you that's got a range program or something like that, and they have a 9mm 1911 on the shelf, you know, we do make them in the Combat Elite series. We make them in the Combat Unit series. If you can try those guns out, they'll I don't know. You just once you shoot them, it kind of speaks for itself. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, this is pleasurable and
Easy.
and cheaper and
Craig says, "I'm glad you brought the Delta Elite back. It's just one of those guns." And
yeah.
I think that's the thing with Colt. You guys have this very long history. I mean, how old is the company?
Well, 1836 is sort of the number used. That was like
Okay.
Sam's first factory, and then there was like a little bit of a gap, and then he sold guns to Texas Rangers and
Right.
kind of built the second factory. So,
But it's
there's-
just you guys have these guns that are generational guns.
there's a deep history and catalog. I mean, I think we're the second oldest gun company. I think it might be Remington.
Yeah, they
is
were
a
like
little-
1816,
yeah.
something like that.
So I mean, yeah, just tons of history. The company has gone through periods of time where it was really massive, especially during wartime, where we were cranking out during the Vietnam War, cranking out M16s and cranking out 1911s during World War II. So you know, it's a company that's just got a lot of history and a lot of different variation in designs, and it's kind of nice for us. It gives us a deep catalog to kind of dive into
Yeah.
and kind of pull things up, and some great, you know, when it comes to things like trademarks and stuff like that, we've even got some great names from the past that we sometimes like to drag out.
Yeah, see what's new.
Yeah.
So, if someone is kind of thinking about getting a Colt, how do they find? I know you guys kind of have a solid, specific dealer program.
Yeah, we have a
right?
stocking dealer program. So what
Okay.
that means is, you know, we expect that if we send you to a stocking dealer, somebody who's signed up with us and is in our stocking dealer program, you know, we can kind of send somebody with confidence to a location where there's guns on the shelf.
They're going to
So-
have a nice variety of Colts.
Yeah,
generally in
and they'll
stock.
have some base selection, and what you'll be able to do is go to Colt.com, and in the upper right corner there's a stocking dealer locator. You
Okay.
plug in your zip code. It's kind of that deal, and then that'll show you who's near you that stocks Colts.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. So, KG, you got any questions over there? I know you're monitoring
Not
YouTubes.
on YouTube.
The YouTubes.
The YouTubes.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, you know, a few different people kind of talking about congrats on the return of the Elite.
Cool.
You know, obviously all the love for Delta Elite, and then people always want to whisper in your ear about, you know, the Python.
Yeah.
Which,
we used
you
to
know,
joke about getting a box at SHOT Show, and if you wanted to come and tell us your Python story, you could just write it down on this card and put it in the box. Because it was sort of a constant stream, and you know, we'll see. Maybe we'll have a box at the next SHOT Show.
Yeah. You put $1 in,
Yeah.
you get to make a comment about Pythons.
Yeah.
Well, you know, thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us,
Yeah,
Justin.
absolutely.
And, you know, we'll be monitoring these. I think Colt will be monitoring. If you have any questions or anything, we'll try to answer them even after the fact, after we're off the air. But thanks for watching. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Last minute question.
You're not done yet. And I knew this one was going to come in at the last second.
Oh.
So is it true Colt is no longer selling ARs to the public?
Yes and no. So what's going on right now is we're taking a production pause. The reality is we're kind of bogged down with military contracts, international military contracts, which actually is probably the biggest portion of our business right now. And then on top of that, we've got a law enforcement business that's actually booming pretty good right now.
With AR-15 stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So what's going on right now is we've stopped making them in the factory, but I don't want people to mistake this for a decision about what's part of our product line or what's not.
It's not
part of
a
our product
political
line.
stance.
No, unfortunately, what happened is we kind of got clobbered. It was I say not good timing, but actually we didn't pick the timing. We didn't actually put out a statement until what happened was one of our partners that we work with, actually, it just sort of kind of got out there, and we kind of got backed into a corner where we kind of had to say, yes, it's true, but here's the deal, here's what's going on.
Well, I think it's like a game of telephone where
Absolutely.
The message gets twisted.
Yeah.
I mean, and we talked about it today. Obviously, you only have so much capacity to make stuff.
Yep.
And you have to, unfortunately, you'd like to sell it probably to everybody, but if you go, well, we have all these really big contracts that are bigger volume, and that's what we have to focus on. Is that right?
And there's also lead time in there too. So people understand we decide 4 months in advance what we're making tomorrow. So the reality is when we kind of made that decision, there was like 100 days inventory in the channel. So it was like, hey, we're going to take this little pause. We've got a moment where we're just not going to be able to make any for gun stores and for guys out there who want them. Sort of the
we got to catch up on the other.
We got to catch up on
stuff.
some other stuff, and then what happens is it's sort of the toilet paper shortage. It's like you whisper there's a toilet paper shortage, everybody runs out and buys all the toilet paper, and then everybody's the shortage becomes
there's
real.
Obviously a shortage, right?
Because everybody ran out and bought it, and that's kind of what's going on here. So there's going to be a moment where we kind of get back and kind of fix that, but the reality is right now we're just covered up in these contracts, and there's no room really for negotiation of that stuff. We got to get M4s out there to our troops. We consider that to be a priority. We got to get M4s out there to our allies. We consider that to be a priority.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a moment where we can hopefully get back to the gun stores, and we'll let you know when that is.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know that people will want to see that back in, and I think Colt M4s, AR-15s have always been considered one of the better ones out there for sure. So people are always looking for them.
We also had a comment about the Colt Custom Shop, and someone referring to it as phenomenal work. So if you guys want to touch on the Colt Custom Shop.
Yeah. So we've got a great group of gunsmiths that really kind of build guns, like when I say the old-fashioned way, like really the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
A lot of hard fit parts. It's a lot of like really truly sort of custom 1911 work. It's a small group. We've got a couple inline models in our sort of regular production that are made in there. They do a great job, and then also we've got some master engravers that go in there and they'll engrave on anything from a Model P, which is like a single action army, to a 1911. And
those master engravers, I could watch those guys work all day.
Oh,
it's amazing.
It's awesome. We usually bring one of them, John Pease. We've actually brought him to the NRA show before. We'll probably bring him again this year.
It's a good reason to go to the NRA show. Another cool thing you'll see.
It's a great opportunity to sort of see him do his work. And then and what we've actually recently done is opened up. For a while, we actually weren't taking new orders in the custom shop. And we've actually opened that back up. So we're taking new orders on single action armies and on 1911s. Again, if you go to our website and go to customer services,
single
go to
action
custom shop, you'll see a sort of a smorgasbord of options, and you can build your custom gun.
Is that the only way they get the single actions is through the custom shop?
We do have production single actions. Actually, we're making more of those than we've ever made, at least while I've been with the company about 12 years.
Okay.
We're making a ton of them. We've kind of narrowed the offering because we used to offer a bunch of different barrel lengths and finish options on the sort of inline, just floor built product. Right. But the reality is we still kind of make those how they've always been made.
Those are kind of old school.
They're
and
pretty old
if you've got like 60 SKUs, it's hard to crank out when you go, wait a minute, There's actually like 6 that people
Yeah,
are
so
really hot
we
on.
narrowed that down to basically 45 long Colt in
Okay.
3 different barrel lengths, and then you can still get those. They're all in case color blued off of the production guns.
Beautiful bluing on
They
those.
are beautiful,
Yeah.
but it's old school. It's charcoal case color blue, like done the old way. And some of those processes and some of those sort of I don't know, sort of a stubbornness on our part, I guess, that we really want to keep doing it the old way. We don't want to sort of change how we're doing it.
feels
It
like-
limits production, but
yeah,
I'm good with it.
But like
you
a
know?
single action being done the old school way
It's
kind of feels right
it's
to me.
the real thing. It's the real thing. Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Mr. KJ? We're good. All right.
You're good to sign off this time.
All right. The real sign off. All right. Justin Baldini from Colt, thanks for being with us. We'll be monitoring comments. Colt will be monitoring your questions, and we'll try to answer what we can. Thanks for watching.
Thanks a lot.